It's 11 o'clock. Do you know where your children are? I heard that someplace before. Well, you know, it's New York City, and right now we do worry where our children are. And today is Hispanic Day, and I was raised in, I guess, in Harlem, but it was mostly Hispanic Harlem versus black Harlem. But to me, it was all the same. It didn't matter. We were all, back in the 1960s, we were all together. And all of New York City was all together. And that was the most important thing. New York City is the most diverse city in the world. Today, we have chosen to celebrate Hispanic Heritage Day. It was started with President Lyndon Johnson in 1968, I think it was. He started with Hispanic Heritage Week. Then another one of our favorite presidents, Ronald Reagan, made it Hispanic Heritage Month in 1986. And today, October 4th, WABC is making it Hispanic Heritage Day, and thank you for being here. Thank you so much. I was on with Sid this morning on the Bernie and Sid show, and I said, well, Sid, do you know the difference between today is Hispanic Heritage Day? Do you know the difference between Hispanic and Latino? And everybody, even all my Spanish friends, nobody knew the difference between Hispanic and Latino. Well, the difference is Hispanic started in Spain, moved on. Mexico is the biggest country with the Hispanic language, but it's the Caribbean, it's Spain, the Caribbean, Central America, South America, the United States, New York City. What is it, New York City? I think it was like 29% Hispanic. The difference between Hispanic and Latino in South America. If you speak Spanish, you're a Hispanic country. But what happens with Brazil? They speak Portuguese. They're Latino. So that is the difference between Hispanic and Latino for all our friends that didn't know. And again, we are so proud to be here today. And our president, well, first of all, my wife. I get in trouble around. My wife, Margot Katsimatidis, my wife of 34 years going on 50, but we know each other 50 years. We're together 50 years. Chad Lopez, our president. And Chad, where are you? Right here. Yeah, my right-hand man. And he is Hispanic, right?
Yeah,
You speak Spanish?
Yeah. I don't speak Spanish fluently.
Well, then he's Latino.
I'm one of those Hispanics.
Yeah, he's from Venezuela. He's from Venezuela, which is a Hispanic country, right?
Yes.
Okay. And what we're here about, look, WABC loves New York. We love New York. We want New York to be the greatest city in the world again. You know, and I want to commend our police department, our fire departments, and all our city departments for working hard towards that. Our DA from Brooklyn is here, Eric Gonzalez. I want to commend him. And what would I tell all our friends in Albany? You know what I tell them? Whether it's the Hispanic community or the black community or whatever, New Yorkers want to be safe. There's 8.5 million New Yorkers. I only hear on certain television that there's some people who want to defund the police. I haven't met anybody yet. New Yorkers want to be safe, you know, and we want New York, we want to be able to go out to dinner at night. We want our kids to be able to go into subways. We want New York to make the biggest comeback in the world. And I think the Hispanic community is leading that effort. We have Reverend Diaz here that's definitely leading that effort. Next to Joe Ethier, a good friend. But let's say We want New York to be the safest city in the world again. Let's have a hand for that. Is there anybody here that doesn't want to have a safe city?
No.
My God. So who are all these people that say they want a safe city? Well, I'm going to turn this over for details. Chad Lopez is the president and the detail man. Chad, take over.
Thank you,
Wait. Margot, you want to say a few words? Oh, hold on. You know what they say? Happy wife, happy life.
I really want to thank everyone for being here today. It's a very important day, and we at WABC are very proud to be a part of it and help put it together. And everyone, just be proud of your heritage no matter what it is, because God bless America, and we are privileged and honored to live in this great country. Thank you.
So, buenos dias. Oh, there you go. It finally came out. So before you guys sit down, John, if I could ask both of you to stand up for a second. Thank you all for joining us here today for Hispanic Heritage Day, 77 WABC's Hispanic Heritage Day. I'm Chad Lopez, president of WABC. Before we begin, it's important. Let's take a moment of silence for Allison Russo-Elling. FDNY EMT, she served 25 years, 25-year vet. Thank you.
I also neglected. See, I always jump in, privilege of being boss. I also want to thank Robert Unane, the CEO of Goya Foods. He's always here. He's in there. He's in Puerto Rico helping the people down there right now, but he's also always in there trying to help the Hispanics and Latino people.
Yes, thank you, John. John and Margaret Katzmatidis' vision has always been, let's create a station that serves all of New York City and the country. We want to recognize every ethnicity that's out there. And when I came on board with John, when I first met John and Margot, that was something that I said, there's no one else doing that. That's one of the reasons, and this is just real quick, one of the reasons for the success and growth of WABC. They wanted a station that mirrors every ethnicity in New York City, and we've done it. And it's paid off for us because the station has done so well with their ratings. So thank you to all of you for that. But before we begin, today, 77 WABC is honoring all Hispanics for their contributions in communities, cities, and around the country. All right? It's important to know that, like John said earlier, Hispanic Americans make up 20% of the U.S. population, and it accounts for 51% of all the new population growth in the U.S. So if there was ever a question about how strong the Hispanic community is, those are facts, and that's where we are. The Hispanic community makes a big difference. So thank you to all of you and all of the people that we recognize today for what you've done for the Hispanic communities, okay? So John, Margot, if you have anything else you'd like to say, or if you'd like to take a seat. Okay, great. Let's start. We are honored to recognize Goya Foods for just recently aiding Puerto Rico with hurricane relief and all of their support in helping families affected by natural disasters. And with that, we have an award, and I'd like to bring up Maricela Baez, Public Relations and Partnership Specialist at Goya Foods. John, you can take a picture. Come on, if you want to take a picture with the... John and Margot Katzmatidis and the 77 WABC Radio Apple Group proudly presents Humanitarian Award to Goya Foods, Inc. in honor of Hispanic Heritage Day and for outstanding contributions towards Puerto Rico and the Hispanic communities globally. October 4th, 2022. Thank you. Marcella, would you like?
Sure. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. It is an honor to be here and accept this award on behalf of Bob Unanue and Goya Foods. We want to thank WABC and John for the constant support it gives Goya and for believing in every step of the way in Goya's mission statement. In the time of crisis, Goya is first on the ground and ready to help those in need. Goya is working extremely hard to continue the hurricane efforts and provide relief to those affected. Just know that we created a short-term initiative named Goya Respalda a Puerto Rico. Goya supports Puerto Rico and is delivering hot lunches and dinners to over 3,600 victims in shelters throughout 18 municipalities. Also know, we donated 80,000 pounds to DR and Puerto Rico, and we continue donating and committed to donate to Florida victims by sending trailers, 53-foot trailers of food items, and continuing, of course, those who need it the most. Thank you. Thank you, John.
I'd also like to bring up, Eric Gonzalez, elected in New York State, the district attorney. First Latino elected in New York State, district attorney.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's an honor to be here. I want to thank John and WABC and, of course, Margot for the invitation to share a few words. During Hispanic Heritage Month, I want to thank WABC for recognizing the Latino contributions to this great city of ours. You know, nearly 30% of our population considers themselves Hispanic or Latino. Statewide, it's closer to about 19-20%. And there's a lot of contributions. And as district attorney in Brooklyn, you know, John's common sense approach to public safety is something that I think matters to our community. As we know, the communities of color have the lion's share of violence committed against it. And as district attorney, wanting to make sure that we work very closely together with the police department and with community advocates and others to improve safety and fairness. And the thing about John, during the years that I've gotten to know him, is that he understands that public trust in our justice system is so important. Diversity in key stakeholder positions like district attorney, like the commissioner of the New York City Police Department, our first deputy commissioner, Eddie Caban. These things matter to our community. To see faces and see the representation of our community as we move forward in public safety is important. And John has always recognized that. He's always supported diversity in law enforcement and diversity in our city. And so it's an honor to be here with the understanding that there's a lot of work to be done, both in public safety. As we've heard, there's these terrible hurricanes that have hit Florida and Dominican Republic and my home country of Puerto Rico. And for all Goya and for all the people out there that are doing great work to provide relief, you know, thank you for doing that. Our communities desperately need the support at this critical time. And this week during Hispanic Heritage Month, my office did an event, and it was a resource and welcoming event for the asylum seekers coming from Venezuela. You know, there's a lot of politics around that issue. But once they're here, and you know, over 15,000 people are here in New York City, 5,000 in my borough of Brooklyn, we have to make sure that they have the resources to be successful. They're going to be our neighbors. The asylum process takes 1.5 to 2 years. And so I want to encourage, you know, the Latino community during Hispanic Heritage Month to mobilize and make sure that we give these new neighbors of ours the chance to be successful. I saw dozens of young children during this resource fair that we had in my office. These are kids, they look just like us, and they're here for the same reason that my family came over and John's family came over. They just want a better life. And so there's a political situation, but there's also a lawful process. And so let's support them during their lawful process to seek asylum in our great country. Thank you, John, for the opportunity to say hello.
Thank you, Eric. Also joining us today is Jorge Sanchez, board member from the FDNY's Hispanic Society, accepting the Humanitarian Award on behalf of the FDNY.
Buenos días a todos. Good morning, everyone. I'll be honest, I was asked to do this last minute last night, so bear with me, please. First, I would like to say that the FDNY Hispanic Society stands firm and dedicated to the hiring, appointment, and/or promotion of Hispanics in the leadership roles of the FDNY. And we're also looking to further that as far as getting, hopefully, a Latino commissioner anytime soon in this. All right. But as far as this award, thank you so much. I'm very honored to receive this in the name of the society. We have done a lot of work as far as helping out with Maria back in the day. I was down there for 3 weeks representing the Hispanic Society, but also the DART team is a response team that we have. Maria was devastating. They didn't ask us to go down this year, but we do have firefighters down there working in different roles. We do a lot of charity works as far as like selling T-shirts and getting those funds to sell it down. We do food drives. We do everything. So we're always committed to helping out all Latinos, wherever they come from, Hispanics, and of course Portuguese if you're from Brazil, what have you. But I don't know.
Latino.
Exactly. But we Hispanic and Latino. But yes, thank you so much. Support us, support each other, and tengan buen día. Gracias.
Thank you, Jorge. We have with us today Bishop Dr. Raymond Rivera, President of the Latino Pastoral Action Center and Bishop of the Council of Holistic Christian Churches and Ministries.
I'm excited to be here, and I want to thank WABC. Also, greetings to our Goya, which is the primary economic institution in our neighborhood and is always present in all the crises. I'm going to date myself. This is my 55th year as a minister in New York City. When I started as a pastor and an activist, Abraham Beam was the mayor.
The Beam team.
So I've seen Beam, and I've seen Koch, and I've seen Giuliani, and I've seen Lindsay, and when I got my first job as a community organizer, President Johnson was in office. So I've seen a lot in 50 years, the growth of the Hispanic community, the contributions that we've made, and just one 20-second educational moment. It's not Montana, it's Montaña. It's not Nevada, it's Nieve. So there's about 13 states.
Illinois.
So there's about 13 states that have Spanish names that we're not even aware of the historical context of the U.S. Hispanics came here through military conquest and annexation. They came here as political exiles, Cubans and now Venezuelans. And now we have the economic exiles that continue to come on our border seeking a better life. I'm committed to that for 55 years. Here locally, the Latino Pastoral Action Center, we have after-school centers, youth programs. We have 5 charter schools, 3 elementary schools, 1 middle school, 1 high school. We continue to serve our people every day. So I want to thank you for this recognition. And we are committed for the Latino community, Hispanic community, to take its rightful place in the city. As our host said, there's 30% in New York City, 20% in New York State. We're still underrepresented, so while we celebrate, we have to advocate for our place at the table. We cannot be an addendum between the white and black conversation. We have to be an equal partner at the table. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I just want to say I agree 100%. And look, I'm an immigrant. I came here 6 months old. I can't run for president. And I believe in immigration. My family were immigrants. We're all immigrants. But the one thing I always say on the radio, We want immigrants that love America, want to come here and work hard, and maybe we should open up Ellis Island type situations on the borders of Texas, and make sure that we don't have drug czars coming over. Make sure we don't have terrorists coming over. All I want, immigration, yes, but protect the Americans that are here, because I think that all Hispanics want to do the same thing. And the one thing I said about on the radio, 50,000 Americans died in Vietnam. 50,000 Americans died in Korea. 7,000 Afghanis died in the war in Afghanistan. That's 107,000 over years. Guess what? In the last 12 months, because of fentanyl being fed through Mexico, through our borders, in the last 12 months, 140,000 Americans have died. Died in 12 months because of the fentanyl being fed through our borders. So immigration, yes, but we want the good people that want to be Americans, and we want the good people that want to work the same way our fathers and forefathers came here working very hard. I have to say that, Reverend, thank you so much for everything you do. And we're also going to hear from Reverend Diaz afterwards. Sure.
Yes. Can we have Chief Reuben Beltran, 36-year-old veteran in the NYPD?
Thank you, John. I'm going to keep the trend here about history. John, thank you for that history on Latinos and Hispanics. It's great to be here. A historical figure sitting right next to me, D.A. Gonzalez. I've socialized with him a few times. It's an honor to sit next to him. Talking about history, my father, who came from Puerto Rico, from Salinas, was a cop in Williamsburg, where the D.A. grew up. So he was a police officer. I'm a second-generation police officer. I know he's somewhere up in heaven right now, looking down and honoring the fact that I took his advice, came on to the police department, and even more so, took on his advice and studied and went up through the ranks. Something that I think he always wanted to do and was smart enough to do it, but that never had the opportunities to do it. But at least the city, the department, opened up those opportunities, and he gave me that inspiration and motivation to be really the highest ranking two-star chief, who was heading up the Technology Bureau in NYPD. I was the first Hispanic commander in the 115th Precinct, Jackson Heights. At that time, a majority Hispanic command, one of the most diverse communities in the city. I was the first Hispanic borough commander for Queens South. So a lot of opportunities, a lot of firsts. So it's great to be part of that history. We talked about history, and I think it was 2 or 3 years ago I was here. And again, Goya was being recognized for their contribution in helping Puerto Rico and the disasters that we faced there. And they're doing it again this year. As I was arriving here, and as you guys were calling to make sure that I was going to be here, my mother, my aunt, and 2 of my aunts were landing in Puerto Rico to go to Caguas to go check on my brother there. So, thank you. My prayers are with all my brothers and sisters in Puerto Rico y la República Dominicana. I pray for their safety and for their health. And again, thank you, John, for putting this together, for continue to put the spotlight on the contributions for Hispanics. It's an honor. Thank you.
God bless.
Thank you. Can we have Congresswoman Nicole Takis, please come up?
She is one tough Cuban.
It's great to be with you all, and I want to thank my good friend John and Margot Katzimatidis for hosting this event to honor Hispanics in our community. John's always very proud of the fact that I'm Greek, and many people obviously know that because of my last name is Takis. But what many people don't know is I'm also the daughter of a Cuban refugee, and my mom fled the Castro regime in 1959 to seek freedom, liberty, opportunity. and to escape communism. And I think when we look at the values of the Hispanic community, the Hispanic community, like all Americans, want to make sure that we have a nation that is secure, that we have public safety in our streets. They want to make sure that we're teaching our children reading, writing, and arithmetic, not some other stuff. They support and value family values, and they want to see that strengthened in our country. And they want to see a strong economy and opportunity for their children and future generations. And that is really what my quest has been as a member of Congress, to preserve this country, our freedoms, our liberties, and opportunities for future generations. And so I thank all the people who are here today who share that effort, and you could see right here in this room the many contributions of the Hispanic community, people who are in law enforcement, we have first responders, we have political leaders, religious leaders, business leaders, and that is truly what has been the real contribution of the Hispanic community, to be part of this fabric of our society and making sure that we are contributing and making our country and nation safer, more prosperous, and better. And so I thank all of you for being here today. I thank John and Margot again for recognizing the achievements of our neighbors, including Goya, who a couple of months ago, they delivered 12,000 pounds of food to pantries in my district. So I also want to join in commending them, because they have been very generous, not just to our city, but as was mentioned, Puerto Rico and other areas that are suffering around the world. So thank you, and God bless.
Thank you, Nicole. Could we have Reuben Diaz, Sr., former NYC council member of the 18th District?
I love that hat.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Michael. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I want to go back to something that Mr. Casamateri said. He said that was President Reagan who declared the Hispanic Heritage Month nationally. I was a Republican. President Reagan was a Republican. And nowadays, when our community have been taken for granted, and nowadays when even our young elected officials don't even speak Spanish, and nowadays when our community, I said again, it's been taken for granted, and our Heritage Month is being forgotten, it's a Republican. Again, Mr. John Casamateri, who declared today the day for the Hispanic Heritage Day. So I would like to thank you for that. And another thing that he was saying, Reverend Rivera said about immigration. I'm a Hispanic. I'm a pastor. I'm the president of the New York Hispanic Clergy Organization, composed of more than 150 Hispanic ministers. So as a pastor, supposed to have mercy. But that wall, that frontier here had to be closed. And President Biden, by opening that border and by allowing what's happening, he's not helping the Hispanic community. He's not helping anyone. The contrary, a lot of people are being killed. A lot of people are losing their life. A lot of people are suffering. So why allowing this to happen? Now our mayor wants to open a refugee camp here in the Bronx, in Ocha Beach. You know? So please stop playing around with the Hispanic immigrant. Please stop playing around, abusing them. So President Biden, Mayor Adams, stop. We don't need that. We need that border to be closed. We need to pay attention to those immigrants that are already here, to fix their life and forget about them. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you again. en español. Yo soy el presidente el reverendo Reuben Diaz. And le doy gracias a señor Casimatiris por este día. Pero dijo el señor Casimatiris que el Día Nacional de la Herencia Hispana lo nombró el presidente Ronald Reagan, un republicano. Y hoy, cuando todo el mundo se olvide, cuando aún nuestros propios líderes hispanos electos no saben ni hablar español y no mantienen la cultura, y son muy pocos los que saben lo que es la cultura hispana, el señor Casimatiris dedica el día en la emisora para mantener nuestra cultura y nuestra herencia. Y mensaje que le envío al presidente de los Estados Unidos, que por favor cierre esa frontera. ¿Por qué abrir esa frontera para perder tantas vidas? No están haciendo ningún favor a los hispanos, lo que están es abusando. ¿Por qué no resolver el problema de aquellos inmigrantes que han estado aquí esperando por muchos años para que se les resuelva su problema? ¿Y por qué abrir la frontera? Si ahora el alcalde de la ciudad de Nueva York desea abrir un refugio ahí en Orchard Beach para tirarlos como reses, como animales. Eso tiene que parar. No nos están haciendo ningún favor a nosotros los hispanos. Lo que están es abusando de nosotros y abusando de tantos inmigrantes. Pues vamos a resolver ese problema primero de los que están aquí. Muchas gracias, señor Casimatiris. Muchas gracias por esta oportunidad. Muchas gracias.
Thank you, Reverend. And I must say, I always remember Reverend Diaz supported me when I ran for mayor in 2013. Could you imagine if I would have won? My God, things would have been a little bit different.
Okay, I'd like to call up Carlos Velazquez, Executive Director of the Police Athletic League.
Thank you, John and Margot, for having me here today. It's an honor to be in this room with so many great Latino leaders, and an honor to be here for Hispanic Heritage Month. The Police Athletic League serves 15,000 young people throughout 27 sites in New York City from ages 2 to age 24 in a number of programs from Head Start to mentoring to athletics to high school access, career development. And John is on our board and is a great supporter of the organization, but there's many people in this room who support the work that we do, and it's important that we continue to serve our young people in our communities. The Police Athletic Leagues, 40% of the young people we serve are of Hispanic and Latino descent. So we are at the forefront of the work, and we will continue striving to make sure that our young people are safe and our communities are safe. So thank you, and congratulations to everyone.
Okay, I'd like to call. Yeah.
Sure. Thank you, Carlos Velazquez, of continuing the work that Mr. Bob Morgenthau did for 50 years. 50 years, Mr. Morgenthau worried about the kids of the city of New York, and thank you for continuing that work. And we have to help the kids of the inner city, and I've been helping. I was with Mr. Morgenthau since 1984, 40 years, almost 40. And we have to take care of the kids of the inner city, and that's one of the most important jobs we have. So I call upon you. It is the way our kids are taught is the way our future in New York City is going to be. Thank you, Carlos.
Thank you. We call up Fernando Mateo, community organizer and former New York City mayoral candidate.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's an honor to be here. On behalf of the New York State Federation of Taxi Drivers, which I represent, and the United Bodegas of America, I'd like to say that as a Dominican American, I am proud of all of those Latinos that come here, all those Hispanics that come here and invest in New York City. New York City would not be what it is today if it weren't for us, immigrants that come here and start small businesses. If you go to Jackson Heights, to Washington Heights, to Inwood, to East New York, to anywhere in New York City, the communities that are thriving, really, really thriving, are the Hispanic communities. Why? Because we come here to work, we come here to invest, we come here to create jobs, and we come here to realize the American dream. My parents came here in 1950. I'm the youngest of 10. And I was born in the Dominican Republic because my father said, I want to have a child born in the Dominican Republic. I never lived there, but I see the struggles and I see the hard work that small Hispanic business owners put every day into their businesses, yet they're not appreciated. John, thank you for appreciating Hispanics and Latinos here in New York City. As a small business owner myself, I will tell you that it gets more difficult every day to run a business, to operate a business in New York City. Every day it's a challenge. Crime is through the roof. I mean, you go to work, you don't know if you're going to come back home. Why? Because every small business owner in New York City is a target of criminals. We are targeted every single day. Yet we go to our communities to open our businesses and try to make a living, not only for ourselves, but for so many others. So on behalf of WABC Radio, I want every Hispanic and Latino small business owner to know that they have the support of this radio station. They have the support of the Casamatidi family. And not only that, they have the support of so many incredible people like our district attorney from Brooklyn, Gonzalez. It's a pleasure to work with. When things happen in Brooklyn and I reach out to him, his doors are always open. There are so many of you here that need acknowledgement, and I'm not going to take the time to say thank you to everyone, but I will say thank you once again for making New York what it is.
Thank you. Thank you for speaking out.
Thank you.
Okay, so lastly we have Joe Ethier, if you can come up, who has been a leader in and organizing the Hispanic communities for the past 50 years.
John and Margot, they're not friends. Es familia. Ese es mi hermano. Esa es mi hermana. Siempre presente. I know for a fact all the things that they do in this city, that they care for all the young people in New York City. I've been there with them. I see what they've done through the foundation, through the help, and now at ABC. It was years back, Reverendo knew me when I was at Con Ed as a corporate contribution person for Con Ed and helped him with his organization of seniors. He hasn't left me ever since. He found me again when I was working for Freddie Ferrer as chief of staff and the president of the Bronx Overall Economic Development, saying, Joe, necesitamos dinero para ayudar a nuestra gente en presente. And later on, working for Governor Pataki with Nicole. Nicole and I worked all over the city for the governor. I had the pleasure of running the first operation after 9/11 to bring back New York City. He picked me because he said, Joe, you were instrumental in rebuilding the Bronx and helping Freddie and bringing business to the Bronx after the fires. John was our chairman of the Freddie Ferrer campaign, and ever since then, we haven't lost each other's phone number and been together ever since helping. It is an honor to have all of you here, presente, all of you who have done your part for New York City. I'm retired now. I still work for John when he wants me, pro bono. Hermano se llama hermano y hermana se llama presente. And all of you here are presente because you care about New York. And I yell at John on text, and he calls me, you're going on the radio because we're going to talk about common sense. We're tired of the crime in the city. We're tired of our young people carrying guns. We're tired of what is going on in New York City, and we have to stand up. And all of you who are here are standing up and being present. And we thank you, Mr. DA in Brooklyn, with what you do. I know you join forces with our DA in the Bronx also. It is important that we carry the flag of common sense. It doesn't matter if you're Republican, if you're Democrat, if you're conservative. It's common sense. And John, through WABC, has brought to the city the word, more than the city, it's all over, of common sense, that we have to get this city back in track. So again, thank you, WABC. Thank you, John and Margot and Mr. Presidente, of all the work that you do and all of you. Let's continue the challenge and onward we go.
Well said, Joe. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Joe is the brother I never had. Joe and me were always very close and continue to be close. And yes, common sense is what we need. I don't care Republicans. I don't care Democrats. You know what you care about? Doing the right thing for our city, the right thing for our state, and the right thing for our country. Going back to the 1990s, I helped run Bill Clinton's campaign in the city. My daughter married a Republican. So you got to keep peace in the family. But thank you all for being here.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you, John. We would like to mention that with us today in the audience, we have Maria Roman, worked in Hispanic affairs for former New York Governor George Pataki. Diana Reyna served on the New York City Council from 2001 to 2013. Thank you, Diana. Retired NYPD Captain Pete Hernandez. Thank you. And that concludes everything today. But if we missed anyone in the audience for a special shout out, we appreciate all that you do for Hispanics and their communities. Once again, I would like to thank Goya Foods for their contributions to the Hispanic communities around the world. Thank you to Goya for what they do for us. So 77 WABC will hold a roundtable discussion led by 77 WABC's very own Dominic Carter. Stay tuned for an insightful conversation with panelists that have made an impact in the Hispanic communities. So please stay with us.
How about the food?
Yes, and we have the food that we're getting ready to serve, but we have that. They're going to play that, John. We have a little special thing for the food. But before we do that, while they do, if I can have everybody come up and take a picture with John, Margot, to commemorate the day. Thank you.